Welcome, everyone, to introducing My EMS Cert. My name is Dr. Marianne Gauchy-Hill. I'm the immediate past president of the American Board of Emergency Medicine, and I currently serve as the liaison from the board of directors to the EMS subboard. And pretty exciting. Just a little intro. As you know, ABEM in 2021 released its new continuing certification platform, My EMS Cert. And this was based on a lot of feedback. We sent out a survey. Over 13,000 emergency physicians around the United States responded that they really wanted to see a new platform that was easy to take, or relevant to their practice. And so My EMS Cert was released. We had a pilot. The pilot was extremely successful. We've heard great things that they really appreciate the reinforcement of learning as well as the key advances and really understanding kind of the latest in emergency medicine practice. So with that said, now we have a great opportunity to launch My EMS Cert. And I'm pleased to introduce Doug Kupis. He is chair of the EMS subboard. And I want to thank the entire EMS subboard and ABEM staff for all their work to get this up and running. So with that, Dr. Kupis.
Thank you very much, Marianne. I am thrilled to actually be on here to talk with people about the rollout of My EMS Cert, because I think that this is going to be very exciting for those that are taking this to figure out how to continue their certification in EMS. I'm going to share my slides here. And once that's up and running, we'll be off. So I'm really thrilled, and it is a pleasure to serve all of you and to serve our patients in helping to ensure competency of EMS physicians by the processes that ABEM uses. And as the chair of the subboard, I would be remiss if I did not thank the other 7 members of our subboard. And in this situation, also thank some of the additional members of our My EMS Cert item writing group that have put a lot of time and effort into getting us to the point of being able to roll out My EMS Cert. The purpose of today is to give you a little bit of an overview of that. As was said, I'm Doug Kupis. I am the current chair of the subboard. Dr. Mo Shabahang will be taking over in the end of our meeting in November. So I'm chair for a short time further. We will be continuing to give information to people about this. ABEM will give you lots of information through emails and your personalized website. We will have availability for people that you can speak with, and also a short presentation at NAEMSP and at other venues. So this isn't the last you'll hear about this, and this will be recorded for individuals that either couldn't make it or want to go back and look at the details again. Our purposes today are to give you an overview of what the elements of the My EMS Cert modules are, to let you know how you can transition to My EMS Cert, or how we're transitioning to My EMS Cert. We'll talk a little bit about the switch to an annual fee instead of the large fee every 10 years for the previous EM process. We have not had a process in EMS because those of you that are watching this, because you are about to expire in 2023, are among the 200 or so people who became certified in EMS in 2013 with the first class. So we really haven't had the 10-year recertification process that you might have been used to in EM, because we're reaching the point where it's very exciting, actually, that we have our first group of people that have been certified for 10 years and are working toward a plan to maintain that certification. So we'll talk about that switch to an annual fee instead of the fees for the high stakes exams. And then the switch to a 5-year certification cycle instead of a 10-year certification cycle. And then at the end, we will have a Q&A session. And I'll just remind everybody again, that Marianne stated that you should put questions into the Q&A portion of this, and we will answer them at the end. Or if it's a very individualized question, there are ABEM staff on the webinar right now that might actually answer you directly. So you're used to these high stakes exams taken in testing centers. To switch to My EMS Cert, similar to My EMSCert, will become continuous modules that are taken at home or wherever you choose to take them. You're used to that 10-year certification and pay per activity. We're switching to 5 years and an annual fee that will allow you to do all of the things in whatever order that you want to do them in, but not necessarily have to register and pay fees for each activity that you do. We're going to launch this in 2023 for all EMS certified physicians. The launch, we don't have an exact date, but we're targeting a launch at least by February. This will replace our current EMS exams eventually and the LLSAs. But as you'll find out today, there is a bit of a buffer period here where you're going to be able to use EMS LLSAs. And for those of you that might have already retaken the initial EMS certification exam, you'll be able to use those to help maintain your certification and cover parts of that until we get to the transition period where we have gradually removed the LLSAs and the recertification by the initial certification exam. The My EMS Cert modules are topic specific. Those of you that have done some of the My EMSCert modules realize that they are clumped in specific topics. The same occurs with the My EMS Cert. This will be online and open book. You'll get immediate feedback. Because it is focused on learning and continuing your certification as well as assessing individuals, you will have immediate feedback, and you'll be able to see the rationale for the answers that are correct and for the answers that are incorrect. There will be approximately 50 questions in each module. And in addition to the standard clinical and systems questions, there will be some questions related to knowledge advancement. And I think you can view the knowledge advancement as similar to LLSA questions because they will be based on selected current literature that is felt by the subboard to be something that's so important that every EMS physician should see it. So, you know, those articles will be available to you ahead of time, so you'll know which articles are going to be covered in that. And like the LLSA, in an open book fashion, you can answer the questions related to those articles. So some of it will be based on advancing knowledge, and some of it will be on sort of maintaining knowledge or identifying that people still have the current sort of textbook type knowledge. So in February 2023, the two modules that are going to be rolled out are cardiac arrest and shock and pulmonary emergencies. And as I said, then each year after that, we will be rolling out additional modules. And once we have all of the topics covered, there will be an ongoing process to update the items in those modules, just like the items in the exams are updated now, the certification exam. So in 2024, we anticipate that there will be more modules coming. Those are currently in development. To give you an idea of the breakdown, and many of you know that there's a breakdown of information related to what is covered on your initial certification exam. This is slightly different. You will not see a specific percentage for research and QI on the exam like you saw in the certification exam, but you will see that like the certification exam, there's a heavy bias to the clinical knowledge review, and that's about 60%. And that information will be based on the module topic. So if the module topic is cardiac arrest, that will be cardiac arrest information. If it's pulmonary emergencies, it will be pulmonary emergency information. The 20% will be based on systems and regulations review. So in EMS, a lot of our practice is sort of medical direction aspects that are related to system and medical direction features, and that's where you will see those. Those can be a smattering of questions that are not all going to be specifically related to the topic for the module. Likewise, in the advances in literature section, this is the knowledge advancement section. It will be based on current literature with articles that will be available to you ahead of time so that you know which articles are being covered. So once somebody is in this and it is fully implemented, and I make that point because I think I want to be clear that you realize that this is, once everything is underway, you will be passing 4 My EMS Cert modules every 5 years. So 4 modules within 5 years. You'll attest to completing one of the quality activities. You'll attest to the ABEM policy on having an active medical license. You'll attest to the ABEM code of professionalism. And then in a 5-year cycle, you will get an annual fee that will work to keep you recertified and be able to continue to take additional My EMS certs and that sort of thing. That starts after you next recertify. Again, looking forward and futuristic, not necessarily for those that are recertifying right now for 2023. If you have a primary certification in emergency medicine with ABEM, there's a little bit of a advantage because you are permitted to substitute one of your My EMSCert modules for the 4 that you need to complete as you're doing recertification. And we have actually selected 2 modules that were selected because they most include the principles related to EMS and resuscitation in the field and that sort of thing. And so it's these 2 modules: abnormal vital signs and shock, and trauma and bleeding. So keep that in mind, because if you are right now trying to take some modules that you want to get cross credit for, those would be the ones to take. You can't use any My EMSCert module. You have to use those 2 or one of those 2 ongoing. And then, of course, ongoing, you will still attest to a quality activity that can count for both EM and EMS if you have both certifications. So there are a couple overlapping things that will keep you from having to do as much additional work to stay double boarded. In the transition, the 4 My EMS Cert modules obviously will not be available on time. I told you we're going to have 2 My EMS Cert modules available in 2023. We will have additional modules coming out in 24 and 25, but starting right out of the gate, there will only be 2 available in early 23. So that gives people that are expiring in 2023 and in 2025 some additional options. And again, I want to emphasize that this is just for these people that are going to expire soon. If your expiration date is further down the road, you're going to be expected to be doing the My EMS certs. But in the meantime, for people that are looking for 2023, you'll be expected, if you have a primary board in emergency medicine, also, you'll be expected to pass 2 of the My EMS Cert modules, which is the 2 that will be available next year. Cardiac arrest and pulmonary emergencies. And then you have an a la carte menu to check one of the other ways of filling in the rest. You can either do 4 EMS LLSAs. You can do 2 EMS LLSAs and 1 My EMSCert module from the trauma and bleeding or the abnormal vital signs and shock. Or you can choose to do 2 of those My EMSCert modules, including both the trauma and bleeding and the abnormal vital signs and shock. So everybody that is EM boarded that's expiring next year will be expected to do the 2 My EMS Cert modules. And some of you may already have done those My EMSCert modules or may already have done the LLSA, EMS LLSAs, and we'll be able to fill in some of your needs that way. I'll point out that if you have not done those things and you want to say, well, what can I do right now so that I don't have as much to do in 2023 when I'm in my recertification phase, you could choose one of these options here. If you've done a number of EMS LLSAs, then either do 4 of those, or do two of them and 1 My EMS Cert, or do 2 of the My EMS Certs. This is sort of a heads up that if you're going to choose that, though, you have to select one of these 2 specific My EMS Certs. So the easiest method to recert for somebody in 2023 or 2025 is one of those answers where it depends. Because if you've already done lots of the EMS LLSAs, then the easiest way to recert would be do the EMS LLSAs and do the 2 My EMS Certs. If you've already done the EM, and by the way, both the LLSAs and the My EM Cert modules, both can be helping you get your My EM or your emergency medicine recertification done also. So I hope that's not overly confusing. It's really meant to give people options. And I think you have a number of options, and a number of options that the subboard particularly wanted to do so that it wasn't onerous, so that people can not only now, but even going forward, take advantage, if you're double boarded, of using some of the process from EM to fulfill at least going forward one of the modules that you'll need to do. And we hope that that will help folks out. The physicians that are not ABEM certified, and we do have some that are not ABEM EM certified, they will have to pass 2 My EMS Cert modules, and they'll have to do the LLSAs because they won't have the My EMS Cert modules available to them. Don't delay with this. You can start these things now. And a big question is what happens if you fail a My EMS Cert module, because many of you are used to the fact that if you took the ConCert exam from ABEM and were using that to recertify, it was given once a year, and if you failed it, you were waiting a year. And if you waited till your last year to take it and you failed, you could lose your board certification. Not the same case with this. Again, these are focused on learning. If somebody fails them, and they are open book and open computer resources, that sort of thing. If somebody fails them, they will be locked out for 3 months, but then can retake that module and can repeat that module several times if needed. I think that that sort of lowers that pressure of a high stakes exam that you're taking once every 10 years. It makes it for lower stakes exams focused on learning, that you're allowed to retake in a timely manner online. I will point out that one of the things that the ABEM board shared with us from the My EMS Cert is that be careful about the idea that open book or online testing is particularly easier than not. It's not exactly the case. So be careful. Don't fall into the trap thinking, well, it's open book, that makes it a piece of cake. It still should be viewed as an important exam that you're preparing for. If you, let's see, I mentioned the 3 months if you fail the modules. Again, knowing that, it would behoove people to take those modules early in 2023. So that if you do have a failure, you can repeat it in 3 months. Don't take it, in October, because you won't have a chance to retake it before the end of the year. The annual fee is, as I said, won't start until after you next recertify, and we'll replace those individual activities fees. If there are specific questions about that, we can address those here at the end. There are going to even be some options with that. So even though it will not be a single one-time fee, and it will, for specific items, that annual fee can be bundled if you choose to pay 5 years at once for the whole 5-year recertification, or you can pay it annually. And I think that, this is something you'll have to select individually based upon what kind of benefits you have, where an employer might be reimbursing part of it, and you might have a bigger or smaller allowance for reimbursement of things. You can make that fit your own schedule. The 5-year recertification likewise begins after you next recertify, and your current certification dates won't change. So whatever your current certification date has been that you're working under, that will not change. But when you come to recertification, that will put you into the 5-year cycle. If you have questions, go to the ABEM website, go to your personal page that shows you exactly what you have to do. That will help answer it, because people are in different boats. If somebody has taken if they've taken the EMS certification exam early, thinking that they wanted to get that out of the way and took it, they're going to have a totally different requirement than somebody who hasn't done that and is going to be in the My EMS Cert certification phase. So everybody's personalized. You can find that on the website. You can also contact the subspecialties group at ABEM, and the number is listed here. And they are terrific. People specifically deal with the subspecialty recertification can answer the phone and guide you through your personal questions.